What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now Plus. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to read through a report, an article, that talks about the Atomic Heart development period, and that it's not been very good. This is disappointing, because this is really, in the stuff we're about to read, this is the real awful stuff with the gaming industry. You know, there's oftentimes talks of the crunch and just crunch culture in game development, and there's the back and forth there of like, well, is it expected in this field or not? When you have people like we're about to read say the things that we're about to read, this is like the over-the-top, absolutely not kind of stuff. It's not good. It's also a little troubling to hear how the game kind of was put together and the difference between trailers and the actual gameplay. For reference, just in case anybody's curious, the game, in my opinion, looks fantastic. The trailers look insane. The newest boss battle that's about 10 minutes long, the ball that's like rolling around the arena, that looks freaking incredible. Okay, so there's really no problems there. But there is a difference, and you can kind of tell with the trailers versus the game, much like any game. But we'll read a little bit about it. Development builds of the game would be presented to investors every annual quarter, which resulted in the demand for significant changes to the project. Gameplay trailers of Atomic Heart were reportedly developed as vertical slices instead of being captured from a working build of the game, giving the impression of a polished game to audiences. It was decided at some point that the game would feature an open world with various paths and dungeons. Robert, I'm not going to say his last name because I can't pronounce it, a CEO investor associated with the project, is of the view that the game sells only a picture and a story. Therefore, the gameplay can be neglected. According to him, the development team at Mundfish has a lot of work to do, and he believes they can and should give up primitive joys like weekends and vacations for the betterment of the project. He promised that developers will be reimbursed with bonuses beyond their expectations. As mentioned earlier, the management failed to deliver on these promises as the bonuses never came through. There were numerous milestones and dates, but they were all overly optimistic, especially with regards to the console versions. All versions required extensive testing, and on a couple of occasions, the management's plans left about 2 to 3 months of time for testing the console versions. Crunches have increased in frequency over the past year, mostly due to the insistence of investors. The majority of the development team was at work over the New Year's break. There were times when developers were given no choice but to crunch. Additionally, the management also appeared to have indulged in a periodic wave of layoffs and new hires upon reviewing the development team's work. Over on Enthusiast Gaming Forum on Reset Era, the author of the report mentioned that a total of over 10 members of the development team have corroborated the story, further suggesting that these are more than just rumors at this point. So not great. I mean, that stuff, again, that's like the worst things you can hear. Look, without going too far into like the crunch kind of culture, I think to maybe make it the best of both worlds, people that think crunch is okay and people think that it's awful, at the very least, I think crunch should probably be up to the actual person, right? If you're and this is actually, developers have said this before, people have said this before, there are cases where people are so passionate about the game or they have an idea on a Saturday afternoon that they'll go into the office and work, and it'll be their own choice to do that. And I think most likely, if you foster like a nice work environment, you may have people that just do that say, hey, I want to get some work done, I have this amazing idea, I'm going to go kind of work on it. And if that's the person's, prerogative, if that's what they chose to do, that's totally fine. Again, there's both sides to the argument, and we're not going to get too far into it, but then you have this, right? The primitive joys of weekends and vacations. Again, if you do that on your own, that's fine. But to say that you should give up vacations, and I assume vacations, because they mentioned New Year's, I assume vacations means holidays as well. So you can't have any, holiday periods off. That's not great. And then the trailer thing, I mentioned before we read it, now that we did read it, right? So vertical slices. So they made the trailers. And I think people on the thread were also saying that's been reported for a while, that they hired, in the beginning of Atomic Heart, them making the game, they would hire people that would specialize in just doing the trailer. So they would just build trailers, and the trailers had, didn't have nothing to do with the game, but it was very, very different than the actual game that was running. So look, I don't know, because they mentioned New Year's, and the report says over the past year, so I don't know if they're, if it was just done. I think the author of the report didn't respond in Reddit, so this report could still be new. the game, again, it looks solid. If you read this report, you'd probably think the game is in like a horrible state or something. Not necessarily. I mean, the things we've seen most recently of the game, again, look really good. As pointed out, just because the management of the game is bad doesn't mean the game is going to be bad. The people working on it can kind of rise to the occasion or rise above it too, right? So I'm wishing the best of this game. I don't think it's going to be bad. I never thought it was going to be bad. The report scares me a little bit, but I still think the game should be okay. If anything, I just don't know, right, because we got the release date like a week ago. I don't know if that release date's going to stick, because it seems like there's a history there with, and in fact, that was part of the article, right, where they promised things or they set expectations and then they didn't reach them because they were too high or too optimistic or whatever. So it's possible maybe this game is really and we've seen this before, like with Lego Star Wars, when that game was originally given, I think, the 2020 release date, the studio, the people working on it, like laughed at it and said, there's no way we're going to be able to do that. So hopefully it's not that situation, right? Because it's supposed to come out, I don't actually remember, March or February of next year. It's early. Maybe it's supposed to, maybe they think it's going to come out in November, December of next year. They're like, well, we're going to need another year, but they're asking for it in another like 4 months. I hope the game comes out. I hope it does really well in terms of sales, and then I hope they give some of those royalties or the sales to the employees, right? Because if the game oversells or outsells predictions or whatever, the people working on it, this hard should be given a little something. So hopefully that happens. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. You worried about the game? Not worried? Make sure you guys are subscribed, bell icon turned on, so you know when all these videos go up, and I hope to see you all on tomorrow's video.